Here is Pieter Lexis, not Peter van Dijk, from Power RPKI 4000 that will talk about the current status of the KSK role. Peter, the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So, if I'm turning my back on you several times, I'm sorry. Modern technology sucks so hard I cannot have the presentation there and there at the same time. So I actually have to look what I just wrote, because I wrote it 10 minutes ago. So yeah, I'm Peter, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the root KSK update. So, as hopefully everybody knows, ICANN has announced several years ago that they're going to change the root DNSSEC key for another one, which is known as the role. So, to give you a little bit of historical context, DNSSEC is old. It was invented in '97. The actual proper RFCs were published in 2005. That is the specification that we're using now. And in 2010, ICANN signed the root zone with a key that is now known as the KSK 2010, because it was introduced in 2010. So they made a promise that each RZ KSK will be scheduled to be rolled over through a key ceremony as required, so if something went wrong or what have you, or after 5 years of operation. But that's a lie, because it's 2018 and we're still not there. So when they started to attempt the role, or at least plan for it, there was a whole slew of things that had to happen. They had to plan it, they had to know how to do it, they had to keep in mind the lifetime of the HSMs that they're using. So there was in 2013, there was a consultation where eventually a planning came out. They used 3 years to make a nice plan. They published the plans, and October 27th, 2016, they generated a new key in a super secure facility with a bunch of hardware security modules. It was glorious, it was broadcast live on the internet, everybody was super happy with it. Then, we, at PowerDNS February 3rd, I think 2 days earlier, they announced the actual DS record, so we put it in the code. And then in June of that year, the KSK was added to the zone. It was not used, but it was there, so all the validators could pick it up and put it in their trust store. And then the 11th of October 2007, it was put in production, but it wasn't. So a couple of days before the roll, this is about 2 weeks, as you can see by the date, we suddenly got an email on most of the DNS operations mailing list saying, the root KSK roll has been delayed. Everybody was like, what? So what happened? ICANN had been doing a bunch of measurements, because there was an RFC out that could have validators actually send telemetry to the root servers stating which keys they had in their trust store. And at some point, so this was a very, very new technology anyway. This was from April, so they were only measuring for about 2 months, and only very bleeding edge operators were sending this data. And it appeared that about 7% of the resolvers were only sending telemetry for the old key, so that they hadn't picked up the new one. If the new one would have gone in production, then the users of those 7% of resolvers would have gotten no answers, because everything would have validated as bogus. In the end, it turned out that's not the whole story. There was a bug in one of the implementations of the telemetry sending. There's still discussion going on whether or not the measurements are actually meaningful, these kinds of things. But a discussion was had in the community, and January this year, there was some consensus that yes, we just should continue with the role, or we should at least continue the role, get more data, and just get it on. So there was another public consultation on how to continue. And then finally it was announced that we're going to do it October 11th of this year. This is a front of a slide of a presentation we got in March from the guys from ICANN. And then 2 weeks ago, we've seen this. Some security experts have now said to ICANN, well, maybe it's not smart to roll, and they have a report. It's you can get it online. So nobody knows what's going on. We don't know as the DNS community. ICANN doesn't even know, because in 1 week they will vote on whether or not to roll October 11th. and then they will announce what's going to happen. So we're like, just do it. Just give us a new KSK. Just do it. Thank you.